Yeah, it's a very good car.
It's got the 8-speed latest iteration of ZF's gearbox. It shifts much faster than previous generations, and we worked a lot to get the feel quality in there so that the shifts are a significant event without being an overly long delay torque interrupt. So it's just a satisfying shift really, while still being very fast. But we brought the car to life by shortening the final time.
Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. The car featuring today, one of my favorites, Aston Martin DB12 Volante Convertible. You know, this company's gone through sort of a renaissance. You know, I love my British companies because they fight, they go all the way down, then they fight their way back to the top, and they win Le Mans, and then they come back and do the. And Aston Martin has really gone through a whole, I guess, a renaissance. The cars are faster, sleeker, true sports car. You know, this is the most. I always call these the sensuous sports cars because I've never met a woman that didn't go, oh, what kind of car is that? It looks, you know, it's comfortable, it's fast. I always consider this the most sensuous sports car because you have, at least to my eye, Rolls-Royce quality leather and trim combined with real sports car handling. You know, I meet a lot of guys that think they want like a McLaren Senna. You're going down the road, you're getting kidney punched, and you know, your wife is going, ow, my hair, you know, okay, no, fine. See, this is really, if you do a lot of driving, you do a lot of sporty driving, it's comfortable, it's fast, and that's the steepest rake I think I've seen on any windshield in a long, long time. All right, let's meet Merrick Reitman. Merrick, you're the designer, beautiful job. Is this one of the steepest rake windshields?
It would be one of the steepest rake windshields in the business, yeah, because obviously for us, proportion, balance, as you mentioned, sensuality is really, really important, and getting that angle with the cabin or when the roof is up versus the hood is one of the key moments of an Aston Martin, in side view in particular of the profile.
Because it just looked like a windshield when I first walked in, when I see it from the front. And then when I go, well, look at the ratio over here. Oh, that looks like in the old days, I used to love that in the 50s, when you could crank back a windshield and bring it down lower and lower. And this looks like something you might see at SEMA from Chip Foose. They just chop the windshield. You know, so it really gives it, and it's got to be aerodynamic and for wind buffeting as well. It must really protect you here. It looks like, because most windshields would end here.
Yes.
So it looks like it goes over your head.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it obviously, the aerodynamics are really, really important, but also if it looks fast, it is going to be fast as well in this instance. So it's helping with all of that airflow as well, but it's giving you the perception of an incredibly fast sports car, as you mentioned. As
well, that's what I like. And if it feels fast, you know, I like Gordon Murray's one of my favorite engineers because he just builds cars. He never talks about horsepower talk. What's it like to drive? It's very exciting. And there might be something faster, maybe not, but it's how much you enjoy the car. And these I just really enjoy these. They're just fantastic. And you have, I guess you could call those 4 seats. Yeah.
But 2 plus 2, we'd like to say.
2 plus 2,
2
that's
plus
right.
2.
2 plus 2. But it's a totally different, there's not a panel on this I recognize from any of the DBs, right?
No, I mean, it's effectively, as you mentioned, a big renaissance, big change in terms of the power of the car, the drivability, driver engagements, all new interiors, all new electronic architecture, and the face. You know, it's a bigger grille, it's a more prominent grille. The nose is more stood up right more, so that's more prominent on the road as well. And as you come to the rear of the car, it's wider, about 30 millimeters wider than the outgoing model.
Tell us about the design. What size, are those 21s, 22s?
They're 21s, 21-inch wheels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Michelin, boy, that's the greatest tire. You know, I love the fact that everybody uses this now, because the trouble with a lot of exotic cars is you get a flat tire. Well, there's one in New Jersey. It'll take 6 months. You're stuck by the side of the road, and they've got to fly your tire in. But now you can get these just about anywhere, and it makes it fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really important, obviously, to have a great tire combination because we work independently with Michelin to get a great tire just for this car as well, which is a really good and important point to put the power down.
It's easily recognizable as an Aston Martin, but it looks different, you know.
Yeah.
Which is, and this is one of the nicest integrated convertibles I've ever seen. They've really done a nice job here.
Yeah, it's very much about, again, the packaging of the car. So if you look at great proportion, equals great design. And
Yeah.
if you can reduce a lot of the elements, if you can reduce the size of the stack height of the convertible, if you can make the front end as prominent as possible, the big change, a big grille, a new headlamp design, and you go through the car. An Aston Martin needs to be elegant and sporting, so it needs to be minimal in many respects.
Yeah, and it's a truly modern car. You know, a lot of times, the old British firms, my favorite was Bristol. And I have a Bristol, and I asked why we're not available with air conditioning. It says right in the handbook, it's not available with air conditioning because we feel the driver would miss the pastoral smells as they go through the country. And you know, just the reason why it doesn't have air. No, you couldn't get an air conditioner at work. It just made me laugh. But it's truly a modern sports car. Nothing left over from the past in here, which is under new management now. You've got the Aston. The team is doing well in Formula One.
Doing really well in Formula One. Lawrence Stroll is the exec chairman, so we've a lot of success this year. In fact, is a whole range of new models coming out into the showroom as well.
Well, it's really exciting when you get real car people running car companies. You know, guys, men and women that have the passion for it. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Well, designing the interior, anything unusual there? I think I'm a sucker for quilted leather.
Yes,
It just looks fabulous.
Yeah, it's all about, again, it's finding those nuances, the little differences, but it's very driver-centric in terms of the layout, the display, the ability to reach easily, but also in a digital age, we have the ability to be completely analog. So all of the buttons that you see are machined from aluminium. And if you decide you don't want to use the touch screen, you just want to input with a manual input, you can actually do that as well with this car.
Okay. So DB12 is not the number of cylinders, that's the model number.
That's right.
So we've got a 4-liter V8 twin turbo. How many horsepower?
680 PS.
Okay, 680 PS. Which is
671 horsepower.
671 horsepower. Yeah, I mean, those numbers were unimaginable just a few years ago. Yeah. I think we're really in the golden age of motoring. We'll look back at this time, this transition to electric, which isn't happening as quick. So every internal combustion manufacturer is putting out their best, their most efficient, and it's an exciting time, I think. It's pretty cool. 8-speed transmission, correct? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it looks great. It really is an attractive car. And that's a beautiful blue.
Yeah, ion blue is the color, the exterior color.
Can we open the hood? Let's see what we got. Yeah, I can't see a lot. No Weber carburetors anymore.
No carburetors anymore.
Those days ago.
A lot of cross bracing again because of the torsional rigidity that we need.
Yeah,
to put that power down.
boy, and that's really a piece, isn't it? Look at that. It
Yeah.
crisscrosses across, big X over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, nicely
And
done.
it's the turbos sit in the center of the V as well. So, I mean, part of the packaging to get the engine as low as possible to give this very sleek low hood to the car line as well.
And built in Britain by.
There should be a name there. Yeah, it's Ahmed Munk.
You know, I'm a sucker for that. Who was the old guy? Tadek Marek? What was it?
Tadek Marek.
Yeah, Tadek Marek. Yeah, that was always. He did the V8,
That's
big
right.
4-cam.
Yes.
And as a young man, I liked because it was like an American V8 that went to Oxford. You know, it had overhead cams and all sorts of trick stuff. You know, so it was very
beautiful.
cool.
A very beautiful looking engine.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. It's a small enough company, though. You get to know the names of the people involved, and I'm a sucker for all that. I like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, everything is easily accessible, obviously. These are functional.
They are, yeah. So hot air off the top of the engine.
Right. Those seats look very comfortable. And this is a. That's to get. Oh, it moves automatic. That's to get you in the back.
So then you get into the back. We use a Scottish leather manufacturer.
A Scottish leather?
So, yeah. From
Well,
Bridget Weir in Scotland.
my mother's from Greenock, so that will go over very
there you
big. And this looks especially well done.
Yes. So again, all of the integration with the roll hoops, the protection as well.
Can we
so
see
the
how that
rocks.
goes up? Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm curious to.
You're going to have to start the car probably.
Let's see. Put it on. Yeah, nicely done. Even the seats have a nice style to them. I like the quilted.
Yeah.
The old Ferrari Lusos used to have that in the back window. I think that was the sexiest thing, to see the quilting in the leather. Yeah,
yeah, they're very cosseting as well, and it's the detail again, the elements like the broguing on your shoes. You see the holes and
it's cosseting. Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, very cosseting.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, really good looking car. Are there any optional tire or wheel packages?
Yeah, you can get different wheel packages, different finishes. So, you know, whatever you like really in terms of the finish on the wheel. You can use Q by Aston Martin to personalize the car ultimately. And the interior is very much about this very simple planar surface to the upper. So it's not confusing at all. It's something where it's easy to use, easy to spend a long time driving in.
Yeah, when I say it's a mature sports car, I don't mean it for old people. I just mean it's comfortable.
Yeah.
If you want that perfect combination of sports car, because this is kind of what most people really prefer. They think they want the model with the riding on the bump stops and you know, which might be fun for a half hour on a Sunday morning. But if you're really going up the coast, this is what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. No, just beautiful, just beautiful. Yeah. Let me ask you what might seem like a silly question. The lines on this car, do you hand draw them by pen or pencil or computer?
It's a combination of both.
Because it looks hand drawn.
You know, everything is sketched by hand initially, but obviously we augment that with computers.
Well, of course. But I see cars that are done, and they seem to have all these jagged angles, which is a look in itself. But to me, this is sort of sensuous. To me, the sexiest cars always have a male and a female part to it, you know, like the haunches here kind of give it a masculine sort of, and yet it's very sensuous here. It's a car you enjoy washing.
Exactly. This is exactly the right terminology. It's a car you should enjoy washing, touching, feeling, because it's very much about the combination of line to give it the prowess that it has, the stance. We call it a stance.
But you don't want to get too touchy or feely. Then the police come, hey, that guy's washing his car, I don't like what he's doing. You know, so it's a nice blend of the two.
Yeah. So this, you know, the car in terms of its prominence, the size of the grille at the front, it's the first time we actually use a new wing as well. So we recommissioned the wing on the front of our cars.
Right here we're talking.
A couple of years ago, So it's the first time it bears that.
Nice.
Slightly bigger, simplified model. But then if you look down the size of the car, you see how every line works in combination together to give you beautiful proportion, both sensual surfaces, full but harder lines, crisp lines that define the muscularity.
And it's not a sticker. It's actually metal.
Not a sticker. It's absolutely not a sticker.
Because there's not a straight edge on this. I mean, it just seems to flow through the whole car.
It's very much about, as you say, the first time the pen touches paper to draw something, that line, that elegance comes through.
And the rake of this one, is this as far as you could? I mean, you're trying to get as far as you can before you go, okay, now we've got to come back a couple of millimeters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it really is dramatic.
Yeah, it's all about, again, how can you package, you know, a 6'4", 6'5" person in the car as well, and still get a roof and a windscreen light that works with the interior occupant.
Yeah, and I imagine, you know, convertibles kind of disappeared in the 70s because speed limits are going up and people just getting buffeted. So now we live in an era now, this really goes over the top of your head, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's several layers to the inside and the exterior of the convertible roof as well. And when you look at the gap, when it's closed, the gap is down to a zero
Yeah,
fit.
very nice. Yeah, very nice. The top fits nicely. It almost, if you didn't know by the fabric, that you would think it was a hardtop.
Yes.
You know, so. Who else do we have with us?
So we have Simon Newton, who is our Director of Vehicle Performance.
Simon Newton, that is the most English name I have ever heard. Simon Newton, excellent.
Jay.
How are you? How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Well, nice job. So, vehicle dynamics, that's your area?
Yes, so my job title, Vehicle Performance, that covers all the attributes associated with the vehicle. So it's absolute performance numbers, as well as the more subjective stuff, how it steers, rides, handles, what it sounds like, all those different elements.
Yeah, because imagine the demo, you're looking for that perfect blend of performance over everything else. It's got to be comfortable, it's got to be fast, it's got to be watertight, it's got all those things. Yeah, so nicely done. I don't think America's going to fit in the back in those kids' seats. So
Probably not.
But maybe we'll take it out. You can tell me about the road dynamics of it. And we go for a ride.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds
Very good.
good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's do it. Where are the seat controls?
They're just here.
Well, it's a perfect California car.
Isn't it? Yeah, we launched it in Monaco. It was also the perfect Monaco car.
Yeah.
Chassis-wise,
Right.
the big coup for us was getting the Bosch DTX damper system on the car. That's an adaptive system, very powerful, very good at keeping the body flat, and yet keeping the wheels free to move over undulations, so separating that primary and secondary.
Right.
That's another system key to keeping this comfortable character when you want it, sporty when you prefer. We've got very advanced ESP systems on the car. We were first to market actually with this Bosch system. It's a model-based system, very advanced sensors. It's forward-looking in terms of anticipating what the driver's going to require in terms of assistance, so it doesn't come in late and be very intrusive. It's kind of predictive, and so it comes in lightly and really augments the driving experience rather than interrupts it. One of the levers it can pull is the E-diff, which is new for the DB car line. That allows us to set the car up to be very agile at low speed, and yet using the diff we can lock it down for high speed stability. That's been a game changer for this platform.
Electric, you say?
Yeah, E-diff, yeah. So it's electrically actuated clutch packs.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It responds in like 135 milliseconds, which is very good for adjusting the attitude of the car.
There's no rear wheel steering.
No, so when we were developing this car, we investigated a lot of technologies as to what best complemented the DB driving experience. So it is the classic front engine, rear drive sports car. It's got the 8-speed latest iteration of ZF's gearbox. It shifts much faster than previous generations, and we worked a lot to get the feel quality in there so that the shifts are a significant event without being an overly long delay torque interrupt. So it's just a satisfying shift really, while still being very fast. The gear ratios we kept the same as the DB11. It's one of the few things we did preserve because we like the spacing of them. But we brought the car to life by shortening the final drive.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Thank you.
Very well planned and nicely done.
Yeah, that was important for us. With 800 Newton meters of torque, you need good traction. And we wanted to preserve rear wheel drive, so we needed to make sure everything else was up to the job. So make it everyday drivable. Hence the investment in all those technologies, the ESP system, the dampers, but also the tyre. So that's a bespoke program with Michelin to get that level of traction. And it's that good in the dry and the wet, to be fair. It's very consistent.
But it just feels billet-like, you know.
Yeah.
Like a solid block. It's very nice.
That's those structural improvements to the chassis. So it's an evolution of our bonded aluminium structure, but we've re-engineered an awful lot of it to make it even more solid, give you the sense of integrity, that sense of solidity you're talking about.
How long have you been with Aston?
Nearly 3 years.
Oh.
It's a great time to have come to the company, I have to tell you. It's really good. When I came to the company, they had made some great choices in terms of what technologies to put on this car, and I've been lucky to be part of the teams developing them to make it what it is today.
So this is your first car you worked on?
No, my first car was...
no, I mean at Aston.
No, the first car I worked on was DBS Ultimate, so that was the final editions of the DBS V12s.
Right.
And then we moved to this car, the first of what we're calling the new generation sports cars, and there's 3 of those. Started with this. We've recently launched Vantage, which is an equal step forward compared to the previous generation. And then we have the V12, which we will be launching in September. I've also been lucky enough to work on a lot of the specials we've been producing in the interim, which is a real treat. Things like Valor, Valiant, so they're the V8 sorry, they're the V12 manual gearbox cars. We have all the technology, but we wanted to make it feel analog. So hence the direct connection between the driver's seat and the rear tires.
Yeah.
Nothing interrupting that, you know, it has to be
That's
the
why
classic.
that's why I like rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I didn't buy a 918 Porsche, I bought the P1 because I can hang the tail out a little bit, you know?
So the brakes on this are carbon ceramic,
Right?
and we've retuned it specifically for the DB12. It's got, across all our cars now, we've got a slightly stiffer brake pedal. That's where we want to go with it. And we actually took the trouble to retune the booster for the iron and the carbon brakes, specific to the technology on each corner, so that you get that consistent brake feel, even though the materials and their friction properties are different.
And you don't have to wait for the brake to get extra hot anymore.
No, absolutely not. And we tuned the booster to allow for that.
Oh, it's very nice, very stiff.
Yeah, so this is in Sport Plus mode, so if you want it more comfortable, you've got two softer settings, but this
I
is...
find that plenty comfortable.
As long as the primary body motions are nice and relaxed, the impact feels, as long as they're nicely damped, then no one is troubled by them. And if you want more comfort, you can just knock it back to GT.
Power steering, electric or hydraulic?
The steering.
Yeah, electric
It's
or hydraulic?
electric.
Electric.
We spent an awful lot of time tuning that.
You know, electric has gotten so good. I remember when
Yeah.
they first came out, it
Yeah.
seemed a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But I can't tell it from a hydraulic anymore.
Yeah.
It's
There's a lot of factors that make up for good steering, and the system of steering itself isn't the be all and end all.
Right.
It's all about the tires, the chassis tune, the structure. The last thing that you visit typically on a chassis tune is the electric power steering calibration. And we've spent an awful lot of time, as I said, making sure it was spot on. I think if you got a chance to drive this cross country, you'd find it very easy to make good progress in, because it's got a lot of control and it's very linear in the way it responds. You can put it exactly where you want to.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful driving car. Again, I always say, this is what most people want, but they'll go to the 750S or something else because they think it's way more performance than they're ever going to use.
Yeah. And sometimes these sorts of cars are relatively easy to drive fast because of how we set them up.
Right. Well, there's a certain cachet with Aston Martin, you know. They've done a good job of keeping the brand unique, I guess.
Yeah, when I make reference to what were our competitor sets, of course we drive them, but we very much want the Aston experience to be an Aston. We're not trying to be anyone else.
Right.
We're very comfortable in this combination of good ride and now increased dynamic capability. So in addition to the drive modes I talked about, you can also configure the ESP separately. So you can have it on, it has its own calibration for wet mode. You can have it in track mode and you can turn it off completely. When it's in off mode, you also get the option to vary how much traction control you have, which is a great feature. You have 8 settings on it. You can have more or less slip, as we call it. So you can control how much the rear wheels spin up together. What that means is you can control how quickly it goes sideways, which is great fun and also a good learning tool for drivers to get to grips with it on the track. It also has launch control, as you can imagine.
It just feels so well planted.
Yeah, thank you.
Brakes are amazing. Very nice. Really good. I got my 54 XKE's got my XK rather. It's got the Alphen brake drums, and eventually they're going to go away. You know, you just keep your so you learn to go into corners and drop down a gear, and you know.
You enjoy them while you can.
Yeah, enjoy them while you can for the brief period that you have them. Well, I want to thank the comedy team of Simon and Merrick. Thank you guys. Very nice.
Absolute pleasure.
You know, I've always been a huge fan of Aston Martin. I always like that British underdog fighting the big guy kind of thing, you know, and there are bigger companies, but not with cars that are much better. So it's really a tribute to them. Simon, thank you, my friend. Thank Merrick for me.
Thank you, Jay.
And good to have you on. And anytime you got anything interesting, bring it by. We'd love to see it. But
we certainly will.
Take one of these for a test drive. I think you'll be impressed. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.